Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to another What's New in Neos. I'm happy to have you. My name is Bryan Billig. I am the head of customer education here at Assembly Software, and it is my pleasure, my honor, every time we have a release to show you all the new goodies that are included. And that's what brings us here today. Let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen again. We want this one. Share, no more PowerPoint. Let's move on to Neos. All right, so these webinars always start the same way. We open up Neos, we head over to the support portal, and we click the What's New tab. This pops out, and every time we have a release, we set up a web page that gives you a full rundown of everything that's there. And this is how you get to it. Support portal, What's New, and the September 2024 release. I know it's October. Technically, we released it late in the evening of the last day of September, so y'all got it on October 1st, but we click here for our Neos September 2024 release. And if we scroll down, it's going to give you a written rundown of everything that I'm going to show you today. Now, usually what I do is I go back and forth between this website and Neos, but there's so much to cover that I kind of put it in my own sequence. So I've got my own agenda today, but if you would like to see anything in writing or dive a little deeper on anything that I presented, this is the place to go. It'll give you a breakdown of everything you need. So that said, let's come on back over to Neos. The way that I've structured today's webinar is basically in order of the appeal of the feature, in my opinion, to the largest swath of users possible. So I'm going to start wide, and I'm slowly going to get more and more specific as we go on today. So with that in mind, we're going to start with notes. So this is Neos. This is my case. These are my case tabs. We're going to go to the Notes tab. We've made a lot of improvements to notes so far this year. So that you're aware, before I show this feature off, there are 3 different ways to view notes. So you can click a note one time to open the preview pane on the right-hand side here and read it there. You can now click this Expand All button, and this will open up the notes in the actual grid. So you can scroll down and just review note by note as you like. But the change that we've made is if you open the note fully, and that's with a double click. So I've got my note list here. I give it a double click, and now the note is fully open and it takes up the whole screen. And this is the 3rd way that I can view notes. And just like needles back in the day, I can scroll forwards and backwards with my arrows up here. So let's go forward a bunch of notes, okay? And then when I X out, it keeps me in the same place in the grid as when I entered the full note. And this was a big user request. This is why I'm kicking off the webinar with this, is so many people asked for this to happen. We heard you, we're delivering. So I've got note number 51. I double click. I'm going to scroll through a whole bunch of them here. And then when I come back out, I am still right where I left off. It remembers your spot. It holds it for you. Okay, so little thing, but big thing impact-wise, that is the, we'll call it note place retention feature. Moving on, we're going to switch to calendar. We've got a lot of improvements in calendar in this update, so I'm going to run through them one at a time. Let's start by opening my actual full calendar. So this is my calendar and everything that I've got going on. You see, we got our new in Neos webinar right here today. Now, if I open up an appointment that I created, let's say this deposition for tomorrow, I am the organizer for this event. And you can see that right here, organizer, and I can make any changes I want. This is my event, it's my backyard, I can do as I like. But if I open up an event that I was not the organizer of, let's go with this one right here, you're now going to see this at the top. You're viewing this event in an attendee view. That means somebody else created it for the purposes of this one. It was Julie in our office and invited me to it. So it's not my event. So I can't change its time or change its location because I'm not the person in charge of this event. But since I am an attendee, I can change my reminder. So I can have a reminder 5 minutes ahead, an hour ahead, whenever I like. And I can change how it shows on my calendar. So it can show as busy or free or tentative or working elsewhere or whatever I like, because that is stuff that impacts me specifically. Now, here's where things get fancy. If I have in Outlook, in Office 365, if I have admin rights to this person's calendar, who is the organizer, I can actually click to become temporarily sort of the organizer of this event and make any changes. So this is a big request because I know a lot of you are handling calendars for other people, whether it's a paralegal or a case manager trying to manage an attorney's calendar, or if somebody sets a trial date and somebody else needs to be able to move it. As long as you set up your permissions properly in Outlook, you now have the ability where one person sets it up and another person, if they have the permissions, if they have the rights, they can actually go in and edit it. But if they don't have those rights, you will only see it in this attendee view, and you can only make changes to the things that affect you exclusively. All right. Moving along, we're going to switch to the case calendar. So if I open up my case here and I go to my case calendar, this is something we introduced with the last update when we improved the calendar setup, where we had multiple types of calendar events. And I thought I had more than one thing in here. So give me 1 second. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new event right here, right now, and we're going to call this webinar event. And type is going to be, we'll call it a client conference, right? And we're going to make it for right here, right now, save. And this is now in our case. So there are two types of calendar events in your case calendar. What we call Outlook events, which are live events. It's currently on my calendar. It's active. It's scheduled. It's something I need to do or someplace I need to be at a particular time. And now I'm getting reminders. Webinar event, 8 minutes overdue. We also have a second category of events. And when we first released this feature, they were called case events, and people struggled with what that was supposed to mean. So we changed the name to archived events. So what archived events are if you have an appointment and it gets canceled or it gets rescheduled or you just want it off your Outlook calendar, but you still want a record of it in Neos, you can save a copy of that appointment, of that event, to the calendar for that case in this archived events section. So I have my live events, and then I have my archived events. The live events will show up here in the case calendar, as well as my calendar and my Outlook calendar. So it'll be live in all of those places. The archived events, you've got a record of it, but it's only here. So it's not going to bother you anywhere else. And then if you like, you've got the all events, so you can see everything that's associated with this case, both live and archived. If you would like to sort these events, you can do so right here. And sorting one event is not very exciting, but you click the header and you can sort your case calendar events in both the Outlook section and the archive section by just clicking on the header. So you can have them in date order, whatever your preference is. All right, let me dismiss my reminder for my webinar event. Now, sometimes you may have archived events that you would like to bring back to Outlook. And you can do that one at a time in the actual case. So if we open up an archived event, I can send it to Outlook and it will reappear. It will reactivate. It will come back onto my calendar. But if you want to do that for multiple items and lots of them, you can now do that via advanced search. So I'm going to go up to advanced search, and I am going to run a calendar search. Yep. And we will look for organizer. I'm going to make organizer email equals Bryan at assemblysoftware.com. That's my email. So if anybody ever needs to grab me for anything, that's where you can get me. Run that search. And this will show me all of the calendar events in the Neo system that has me as the organizer. And again, I can sort them by date. So let's find some stuff that we've got here. Now I have 3 test meetings, test meeting 1, 2, 3 in my Scott Lang case. These are all archived events. So now what I can do is I can bulk select them, and I can go to my bulk actions, and I can send them all to Outlook at one time. Now it's going to ask me, hey, would you like to keep the archive of this event in that archive section as well? No, because this one's going to be live. It's going to be on that Outlook side of the column. So I'm going to go ahead and send all of those from archive to Outlook all at once. You can do this from advanced search. You can do it across multiple cases. You can do it across multiple users. Any way that you want to set up your advanced search and use these checkboxes to bulk send whatever you like from archive to live. And now I'm getting a whole, you know what? I didn't think about this. I'm reactivating all of the stuff and my Outlook's going, reminder, reminder, reminder. So let's dismiss all of those. And then one more thing I wanted to show you here was, and this was another client request, in advanced search for calendar, we now have start times and end times, as well as all day events. So you can see like these 2 events here, a lot of this stuff down here, it has start and end times, but several of these are just a date. So if it is an all-day event, if it's marked with that toggle in Outlook or in your Neos calendar as an all-day event, you will now see that exclusively as a date here in advanced search. And if it is a specific date and time, you will see a specific date and time. Okay, that's it for calendar, but there's a very cool advanced search enhancement that I want to show you while I'm here. This is why I resequence things, so it all just kind of flows. We have a new export option for advanced search. So you can build these advanced searches, these reports, any way that you like, and you could always export them to PDF or CSV, but now we've built in native Excel support as well. So no more of just that CSV blandness. We can export directly to Excel, and it's super fast. You can see it's already done. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Oh, it's going to open up in the other monitor. So give me a second. I'm going to drag it down for you. And we have our advanced search. Make that big so we can see everything. And we've got all of our headers and they're bolded and everything's sortable. And you've got all of your Excel functionality built right in. So if there is ever an advanced search that you built out that you need to kick over to a spreadsheet to do anything that you want with it, you have that ability. And obviously it works great with these calendar reports, but you can do this with any advanced search you've got, and all of that information is going to come over intact. All right, so that is export to Excel. It's 1:15, but we're moving and we got more things to show off. We are continuing to build on the cool features that have already been released this year. And that includes NeosAI, and it includes dynamic forms. And I'm going to recap the concept of dynamic forms real quick, just so everybody knows what I'm talking about when I go to show this stuff off. It's really cool. So most of you are already familiar with the concept of an auxiliary checklist. So you've got your main checklist, but sometimes something happens with a case where you just need to bring in a block of other checklist items. Like, you know, if a case goes to trial, you bring in your actual trial, checklist items. Dynamic forms are similar in that you can bring in a block, but it's a block of fields. So if there is something that happens only once in a while, or something that happens over and over that you want to create a record of, you can do that with dynamic forms. And my favorite examples are examinations or treatments, you know, because a client may go through a lot of stuff medically, and you want to be able to bring that stuff in and track it when it happens. But you might not want to clutter your case with it if it doesn't happen to be the case. So what we can do with dynamic forms is, let me go to our case tab, and we go to quick add, and you go to dynamic form, and you pick a dynamic form that you want to insert into the case. And you can build these out to be whatever you want them to be. I like the medical examples, but they can be anything. You build a block of fields, change their layout, change their style, change their type, whatever you want to do, give it a name, and then with a click of a button, you drop it into a case. And we released that earlier this year, but we've made some cool improvements based on the feedback that we've gotten from you guys as users. Once you have that block of fields, you can add it to the current tab, or you can add it as a new tab to the case. So if we, in this case, scroll to the bottom, we can see I've got an examination tab right here at the bottom, and I've got an examination that's been inserted into this case. You know, what's the exam name, the date, the medical provider, the type, the results, et cetera, et cetera. So now that we understand what dynamic forms are and how they work, here's some of the ways that we have improved them. Now you can add dynamic forms to more places. So before, you could add them to the bottom of the case tab. So I think I might, no, I don't have any down here, but you could add them to the bottom under the user defined area of the case tab, or you can add them as new tabs. Now you can add them to individual party entries. So if you have a specific party and you want to add a dynamic form to the bottom of that, you can do that, as well as value entries, insurance entries, and counsel entries. And I expect that functionality to continue to grow. It's just in keeping with kind of our concept of Neos works for you. You design it to be what you want it to be, and that's how the system's going to function. So you're going to be able to put these dynamic forms into more and more places. In addition to that, if I go down and I look at my examination here, if I have more than one, I'm going to see them in a grid. You now have the ability to modify the dynamic forms in the grid to see only what you want to see. So if we go into dynamic forms and we go into examinations as an example, these are the different columns that exist for this dynamic form. And let's say, for the sake of argument, I've got date, staff created, examination, examination results. All of that's important. Names on title, not so much. I don't need that. Date created, yes. Date modified, no. Staff modified, no. I can go look that stuff up if I want, but I don't need it to display every time. So I can turn those off and click save. In addition to that, I can move around the columns for what order I want them to be in. So let's go ahead and say we want the date of the examination name, the examination results, and then the staff that created it, and then the date they created it. So save, done. Let's go back to our case. Let's switch tabs and come back. And now you'll see date, examination name, examination results, staff created, date created. So now I'm looking at specifically the information that I want to see in the order I want to see it in. All right? Make sense? Okay. Carl Truman says, woohoo, right back at you, Carl. I appreciate you, my man. Okay. And then last change for dynamic forms. Dynamic forms are now available in advanced search. So let's kick back over to advanced search again. And now, right here in the search for, I'm going to be able to see my dynamic forms. So the ones that I've created, the ones that are active, they'll be here. Obviously, I like examination, so let's go to examination, and I'm just going to run search, and it's going to show me all of my examinations that are in the system, all 186 that have been entered so far, because I didn't put any parameters in. So I can put parameters in saying this case specifically, or this date range, or entered by this staff person, or with this provider. That would probably be a really good one. So you can add whatever criteria you want, and then see all of the examinations that meet that criteria, or honestly, all the dynamic forms of that type that meet that criteria across your entire system. So dynamic forms will continue to get better and better and better. If you haven't taken advantage of it yet, I do recommend it, with the caveat that dynamic forms are part of the NeosAI tier, because so much of the dynamic forms can be created using artificial intelligence, which is what we're going to get to next. So let's close advanced search and get into AI. This one's cool. This one's so cool. So hopefully you guys have seen some of the stuff that NeosAI is capable of, and it's really cool. If you upload a document, it can provide a document summary, basically saying, hey, you've got this 30-page document. Here in 2 paragraphs, I'm going to explain what's in that document. We can extract information from documents. Like if you get an invoice, we can extract all the value entries and create entries in the value tab from that document. If somebody sends you a business card, you can extract that and create a party. There's lots of cool things you can do, and we're continuing to improve that. With this release, we've added the ability to analyze photos, which I think is just awesome. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to just drop in a photo. And this is a JPEG of a car crash. And so I'm going to give it a document type of photo. When we're using AI, document type is very important because that kind of tells NeosAI what type of document this is and how to handle that. And then we're going to flip the toggle for Analyze with NeosAI and save. So it's uploading the document just like you would upload any other document. Easy, drag, drop, set the type, and you're done. But it's also providing this AI analysis. So if I give this one click on my side pane here, I'm going to see my preview. So this is the image that I've just uploaded, right? So this is my photo. This is the accident. This is what occurred. Now, this just happened. This happened live. None of this was pre-done. So I'm going to click over here to see the details. And I've got a summary, just like I would if I was doing a summary of a document. It's provided a summary of the photo. This image shows a severe car accident where a black sedan has collided head-on with a tree. The front end of the car is significantly damaged, with the hood crumpled, the windshield shattered, and the front bumper partially detached. I love this. The car is off the road, positioned on a grassy area adjacent to the sidewalk. Behind the scene are urban buildings, including residential apartments and office structures. The street is relatively empty with a few parked cars, and moving vehicles are visible. There are no people immediately around the car. That's bananas to me. That quickly, it can interpret this image with that level of detail. So the old adage, picture is worth 1,000 words. That is absolutely true, but we can also summarize the picture in about 50. So that is now part of NeosAI, and you can do that level of analysis on any image. So let's close that up. That one I think is pretty awesome. Next for NeosAI is contact extraction. So sometimes you'll get like a business card or a photo ID, and you will want to directly create a party from that item. But sometimes you'll just get a letter, or you'll get something else that might have somebody's name or contact information in it. So I'm going to upload, we'll say, a piece of correspondence here. I'm not going to analyze this yet because I want to show you something. So I'm just uploading this document as normal. And then here it is. Because I haven't analyzed it yet, I have this Analyze button. I'm going to go ahead and click it. And this is going to give me the Analyze with NeosAI pop-up where I have some options. And the options are based on, that's right, the document type. So this is a correspondence. I want to generate a summary of it, which is easy, short, medium, or long, my choice. And then I've got these document actions. For invoices or receipts, I can create value items. For photo IDs or business cards, I can create a party. But for this, I'm just going to do a simple contacts extraction. And I'm going to click extract, and it's going to think in its speedy AI way. And when that's done, and it is, we're going to go into the details of this document. So I've got all the details. The metadata was created by me. I have my overview, my summary, if you hadn't seen that before. And then under related items, I've got a list of contacts. So what it did is it extracted anytime it found an email or an occupation with a particular person. So I've got to change these columns because you know what this is? It's a dynamic form. So you can manage the columns and what you want in the way that I just showed you. But I've got this layout and it found 5 different contact entries. And we can go into any of them and see what's what. But it's pretty cool that you can analyze any document in this way. And if it finds contact info, it's going to pull them out. In this scenario, it's not going to create a party because you might not want all of these people to be parties to a case, but you will at least have all of their contact info automatically and easily. Okay. Next for AI enhancements, medical codes. This is really cool. So one of the things that NeosAI can do is scan and analyze a medical record. Now, I'm not going to make you guys wait for an upload a third time. So I've just got a generic medical record here, and I'll click it so you can see what it looks like. It's basically a medical history. This person's got a lot going on. There's all kinds of things here. So let's close this back up, and we want to go into the details of this document. And I've got my metadata, and I've got my related items. So this has been analyzed. So it pulled out some contacts, it pulled out some medical conditions, and it pulled out any medications and treatments that it found in that medical record. All very cool. What are they? These are dynamic forms. They're all dynamic forms. It's so very, very cool. But what I can do is I can go into any of these medical conditions. And so I've got hypertension listed as one of this patient's medical conditions. And right here with this little information bubble with sparklies, I think sparklies is the universal sign for AI at this point. If I give that a click, it's going to give me the UMLS and other medical codes for hypertension right here. You don't have to open up another browser. You don't have to look it up. You don't have to do anything. Neos is going to do it for you right here. So if we go back, let's check diabetes. Again, we'll click our sparkles, and I've got my UMLS codes and all of the others. They're right here. There's even right next to it, these little 2 squares. This is a copy to clipboard button. So I click that, and it's going to copy that code to the clipboard so you can put it anywhere else that you want. All right. Go away, copy to clipboard. Go away, diabetes. If only it was that easy, right? The last change for NeosAI is in document generation. So NeosAI has the ability to create these really complicated documents for you. So if we click Generate with NeosAI, we're going to do a demand letter because that's a classic complicated document. It is a demand, and this is the NeosAI Generate Document screen, which we've been improving and making faster. Sorry, this is tiny. I set my resolution so that you guys can see everything nice and big, but it makes my real estate small here. What we've done is we've moved the data sources option to the top. It's a small change, but that way, these are the data sources that are being pulled for that particular section to generate, and then you can make choices based on it. So if I want to add a section like insurance, going to pull data from the insurance tab, and then I've got an insurance section, so I can select the insurance companies from this particular case that I want it to use AI to generate in this particular demand introduction section. So the data sources are right at the top, and then they create, if applicable, the drop downs below. NeosAI continuing to get better and better. If you haven't tried it, you should absolutely try it. Reach out to your customer service manager or our website or support or me, because you got my email address, and we will hook you up. All right. Moving right along, like I said, we're getting narrower and narrower here. We've made a nice improvement to the PDF editor. So built into Neos is the ability to edit PDFs. Don't download them, make your changes locally, and upload a new copy because you're just going to create duplicates all over the place. So if we have a PDF, we can click the dropdown and we can click PDF editor. Now, one of the things that the PDF editor can do is it can pull pages out, it can rotate them, it can change the order, but you can also add documents together. So if you have multiple documents that you want to add into a single PDF, you have the ability to do that. And it's with this button right here, Add Document. The change that we've made is this checkbox right here. honestly, just to make it easier for you. You may want to add documents from someplace else, but it's very likely that the documents that you want to add are documents that are already in this case. So with this checkbox, when you want to combine PDFs, it will start with only the PDFs in this specific case. And if you uncheck it, then you can see all your PDFs. You can search for other cases or whatever you want to do. But as long as that checkbox is checked, you will see only PDFs for this case. It's 1:31 already. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I've just got a few more things to show you. This is falling into the category of what I call quality of life improvements, just little things that make your world better, easier, simpler, faster. So in that vein, we're going to go over to Browse Intakes. Now, if you have been using Intake Pro, there's so many cool things associated with it. I love the Intake Pro setup. There's lots of videos and pre-recorded webinars and stuff on the support portal, so go check that out. But one of the things that Intake Pro allows you to do is create dynamic questions. Man, Bryan, you're saying the word dynamic a lot. I know, because we're trying to make Neos dynamic for you. So what dynamic questions in Intake Pro are questions like this. Were police on site? Did the incident cause a loss of wages? Now, the concept is not to overwhelm your intake staff with this massive intake form that covers every possibility that could ever happen. Instead, you can put in questions, and then depending on the answer to the question, more fields will open up, like, were police on site? Yes, they were. And then it drops in a police box. Okay, tell me the officer's name, their badge number, the report number. Did the incident cause a loss of wages? Yes, it did. Well, then now I need their employment information, their employment name, length, wages, scope, etc. Before this release, this information that dropped in would carry over to a case if you made this intake into a case. But the questions themselves did not. So I always demonstrated it with simple checkboxes. But now, if we save our changes, and we go ahead and make this a case. So we are going to accept this case, and we're going to assign it to Bryan, because we assign everything to Bryan. It is now a case. There is a new tab, and this is the Intake Questions tab. So this example was super simple. There were only 2 questions. They were both checkboxes, and they were both checked. So now I have a record of it. But what this allows you to do is dive deeper into Intake Pro and deeper into dynamic questions and get fancier with your build out, because now the questions themselves and their answers, and of course, any fields that drop in because of the answers, will carry over into the case and be trackable. All right. It is 1:34. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to show you something real quick, and then I'm going to kind of refer you in a different direction. So whenever we finish these webinars, I like to point out the support portal. If you haven't taken advantage of the support portal, I strongly recommend it. It's super helpful. There's a lot of stuff here. A lot of times, depending on where you are in Neos, if you click the question mark, it's going to give you recommendations like, hey, you're on the party tab. Do you want to know about adding a party or an address, or would you like a tutorial on the party tab? Almost every screen of the program has these options. But then you can go to the support portal itself, and in the support portal is the knowledge base, which is written articles. If you're like a reading learner and that's what you want to do, you want to read the details on every corner of the program. There is the Learning Hub, which if you're a visual learner and you want to listen to my voice over and over again, and I apologize for that, the Learning Hub is full of video tutorials with everything that you could need. In addition to that, there is Neos University, which is a full e-learning platform, and we just added a new course. So now, if you're a beginner Neos user, you can come here and take the beginner user course and get certified. If you're a Neos administrator, or you would like to become a Neos administrator, this course will teach you everything you need to know about being a Neos administrator and all the sort of back-end settings and how to set Neos up for your firm's success. And we have a new NeosAI training course. So if you're curious about NeosAI, or your firm has made that jump, but you don't feel like you're really taking advantage of the power of it yet, come take the course. All of these courses end with an assessment. If you pass the assessment, you get a Credly badge that like can go to your LinkedIn and whatever, but come check them out. They're very helpful. We are in the final stages. I know I've been promising the final stages of the advanced user course. So I expect that to be out shortly. Come check this out. One last thing I wanted to show you in the service portal though, because we haven't pointed this out enough, is this one right here, ideas and enhancements. When I present these features and say, this was requested, this is what I'm talking about. So go check out the ideas and enhancements. And if you have a new idea for how Neos can be improved, come here and submit it or review others and sort of upvote them. So we can see things that have been recommended. And look at this one, 132 votes. Reinstate sorting by date in the case calendar, which is exactly what we did. So our dev team, our product team, they are in here every day. And whenever we see something peak up like that, we know it's important to you. And we make sure that we do everything we can to build it into Neos for you. Okay, there are a couple other improvements. This includes, do this real quick, firm preferences and documents for firms that have a massive, and I'm talking massive amount of data. If you've got hundreds of users and a massive amount of data, we put in a tab here for document search preferences. Right now, everybody, when they search for documents from Browse Docs, we're looking at the document data and we're looking at the Neos data so that you can search and find anything that you're looking for. And most of the time it's fast. But if you got a Fort Knox of documents and it's so much, you can come here, your Neos administrator can come here and flip this toggle off to narrow the scope of that search specifically to document data, and that's going to speed things up for you. Most of you won't have to deal with that. In addition to that, there have been improvements to the law toolbox integration, some very cool stuff there. And if you're using the Zoom phone integration, we've increased the note character limit. There's some stuff with intake and auto create. All of that is in this page of what's new. So if you use Law Toolbox, if you use Zoom Phone, come here, scroll down, well, scroll through the page and you will find it. So it is 1:38. I am 8 minutes over, but y'all have been so patient with me. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for hanging out for another What's New in Neos. We will have another release closer to the end of the year, and I'll be right here with a webinar to show you all about it. So again, thank you for your time. I hope you have an awesome week and good luck with your Neos usage. Have a good one, everybody.